So today we're going to be continuing to look at the alternate future of the world. In the previous alternate future video, we saw a ginormous war break out over here in the Mediterranean Sea between the Middle Eastern Pact and the Mediterranean Order. In that war, we saw the Mediterranean Order win and take over various lands over here in the Middle East from countries such as Turkey and this thing, which still doesn't have a name. We also saw Egypt join in on the Mediterranean Order, and overall it looks like this alliance is pretty close to achieving what it wants to do, which is of course to take over the entire Mediterranean Sea. We also saw the British Raj gain independence from the British, and it's now just known as Raj, and various other countries joined various other alliances. So if you guys do enjoy today's alternate future video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support on this video and the channel is very greatly appreciated by myself. And let's go ahead and jump straight into this alternate future video. So starting off, we have to address the Soviet Union and more specifically the Axis. These guys have been very silent as of recently, and is for a very good reason. They have been preparing to fight up against each other. More specifically, the Soviet Union has been preparing for an invasion of Germany in order to reclaim old lands and to restore Europe, whereas the Axis has been preparing to invade the Soviet Union in order to do the exact opposite, to take the Baltics and take over Belarus and other parts of Poland. Now, the Soviet Union did discuss this with other alliances, such as the Allies and the Mediterranean Order, and both of those alliances suggested that the Soviet Union should not do this because it would end in them losing. Now, the Soviets, who greatly overestimated themselves, said that this would not happen and that they would most certainly defeat Germany in a war because they are the Soviet Union. So the time has come and the Soviet Union declares war on Germany. Now remember, this is still no Germany. This is not a good Germany, this is a bad Germany. So the Soviets declare war and Germany is going to automatically go ahead and activate the Axis. So the Soviets declare war on Germany and Germany is going to go ahead and attempt to call their allies into war. Now remember, the Axis at this point is not an attack one, attack all alliance. It is just a basic alliance, and you protect each other if you want to. So Sweden and Spain are quick to join this war. Hey everyone. Future AdizzPro here, post video recording and into editing. My microphone decided to stop recording me during this entire video, so that kind of sucks. Looking at it right now, I'm at like the 155 mark and there's a whole 16 minutes left of no audio, so I'm gonna have to do a voiceover, which is something that I've never done before, so I apologize if this kind of sucks, but it's a little too late now to re-record the alternate future videos since it's a progressing series, so I can't like go back to the old map. Anyway, here's my best attempt at voicing over the rest of this video. I apologize if it sucks. Now, Mexico and Nicaragua here, they are not going to join this war, and that's because they have no interest in doing so. They are not forced to go into the war, therefore they will not be fighting with the Germans, Swedes, and Spanish. Finland, though, is gearing up to join this war, and they're not going to join it right away because remember, they're not a part of the Axis, but eventually they will, and now we have the Soviets pushing into Germany. Starting over here in Kaliningrad and pushing into the parts of what used to be Poland, actually no, Germany. They have a sweeping front line going right into Germany with the focus of going over to Warsaw. Now here, they are going to send out their navy to protect their coastal areas in the Baltic Sea. However, it's only really to prevent a naval invasion via Germany or Sweden, and that is because they have control of the entrance to the Baltic Sea. So really, it's just to protect their coastline from a possible invasion. Now they also have to use the Black Sea here, and even then, Spain controls the entrance to the Mediterranean via Istanbul and Morocco. So if they really wanted to get trade with anybody, they'd have to go through the Suez Canal. And remember, Britain controls that, and Britain is allied with the Soviet Union, so it's not really an obstacle for them. However, they had to go very far away. Now, over here, we have invasions. The Soviets are going to go ahead and push over and successfully manage to capture Warsaw. Now, up north here, they're going to focus on the coastal areas of Poland in order to not wipe out any German naval ports. From here, they're going to push south a little bit in order to fortify their front line, but now they're going to go ahead and go towards Serbia. Now, that is because Serbia is pro-Russian, as we know, and it is likely that if the Soviets were to invade down there, an uprising would take place. So they inch their way down south until eventually what they want to happen happens, and the Balkan area of Germany starts to rise up in hopes of being freed from Germany. Now remember, Germany forcefully invaded and annexed Yugoslavia back a couple episodes ago, so that's pretty much why they want to rebel. But now Germany is pulling off a pretty good counteroffensive against the Soviet Union, and all of their progress is undone except for up here in the north, where they hold on pretty strong. Now in the south here, they are completely swept out and pushed back to the border until eventually the Germans cross that border and into Poland. I have no idea what I'm talking about here, not even gonna lie. Back down south, we have the rebellion doing better as they push forward and up more land until eventually the Germans turn around and kick them out of their own country. Now the Soviets are going to pull off a pretty impressive counteroffensive. However, it's nullified by the fact that Germany just retook all of their eastern area in Kaliningrad. Now, the Germans push into the Soviet Union and up into the Baltic areas. Southern Poland is lost, and the Germans start to sweep through Soviet territory. So now we're going to have Finland join this war. Remember earlier I said they would join, and eventually they do, and they have a pretty good time pushing into Russia. I don't know why there was so much of that cut out there. I guess my editor forgot to do his editing job. Shame on you, Jaden. Anyway, as we can see, Japan has now joined this war, and that's because, remember how I said a couple episodes ago, they had nowhere to expand except for the Soviet Union, and that is due to a pretty easy to see factor here. They only border their allies. Xinjiang is allied with Japan. Tibet is Japanese leaning, and you don't want to invade India because they're part of the allies. The Philippines are a part of the allies, and so is Australia and New Zealand. So the only place that is left for them to expand is into the USSR, and now is a perfectly presented time as the USSR is weak and being invaded by Germany. So the Japanese and their allies are going to go ahead and start their invasion of Eastern Russia, and they have a pretty good time doing so. Now back over here in the west, the Germans and the Finns continue to sweep towards Russia as they get closer and closer to Moscow, which is their ultimate goal. We have the Finns focusing up north because they're cold like that, and the Germans focusing in on the more important areas until eventually they reach the gates of Moscow, which is about right there. They send a battalion down south to keep their invasion going, while up north we have a lot of the major armies focusing in on capturing the city. Back over here in the east, we have Japan doing Japan things as they inch closer and closer to Central Russia and closer to Central Asia. Now, as we can see, Central Asia has completely broken away from Russia, and that is due to the fact that these different ethnic groups are sick of being within the Soviet Union. You know, the central government is weak, and now would be a great time to break away if you want to do so. And as we know, the Soviet Union was comprised of a lot of different ethnicities, so each ethnic group has essentially broken away. There's Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Of course, those aren't accurate where the actual ethnicities lie and where the different groups are. It's just a rough estimation. And together, though, they decide to form the Central Asian Union in order to unite together and to not get curb stomped by the Soviets because they'd be too busy fighting themselves. So the Central Asians unite together temporarily in order to fight back against the Soviets in this rebellion. Now, this ideal spreads over to the Caucasus, leading for Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan breaking away and joining the Central Asian rebellion. So now the Soviets are pretty much screwed. The Allies at this point are going to stop supplying them, and they're going to withdraw all of their troops, all of their equipment, any bank loans, or anything they had within the Soviet Union is being withdrawn because this thing is collapsing. The Green Team pushes up more and against the Soviets in order to reclaim any more land that they wanted to get out of a peace treaty. And now comes the fall of the Soviet Union. The Germans sweep through and take Moscow and eventually meet the border of the Green Team and agree to not invade them because they don't need to, and their goals have already been accomplished. At this point, it's just a matter of pushing the Red Army up north to the colder areas, in which case they attempt to hold out. The central government has surrendered at this point, and basically they just kind of fight them until they're gone. So the Axis wins this war, and we have a major rebellion in the south. And anytime now, yep, there's a peace treaty. All right, so the peace treaty, I'm gonna have a fun time explaining this with a voiceover. So peace treaty, lots of things happen. As we can see, Central Asia and Asia itself looks completely different from how it does in real life, which was one of my main goals in this series, to kind of differentiate the map from what it really looks like. As we know in the first alternate future season, I didn't really do that. So starting with Germany here, we can see that they annexed the Baltics and a good portion of Poland, and that's because, if you remember correctly, the Baltics were made into a puppet originally, but at this point Germany doesn't trust that, and they just completely annexed them. They also released the Belarusian Republic, or I guess the Belarusian Fascist Republic, because it joined the Axis. Finland gains a little bit of land, and notably St. Petersburg/Leningrad. I'm sure they're going to rename that to something Finnish, but they still refrain from joining the Axis because they have a dead set obsession with neutrality, even though it's not really working out for them. Here we have the Russian Republic. This is a completely democratic country ruled by the people. It's extremely weak because it lost almost all of its land, but this is equivalent to the modern day Russian Federation. Just south of that, we have the Republic of Azov. Now, this is not to be confused with the Azov military battalion group that's like in Russia / Ukraine. That's like the far right group. That is not due to that. It is due because of the Sea of Azov, which is right there next to Crimea. It's based off of that. The name is not named after the military group. It's named after that sea. I guess it could also be called the Caspian Sea Republic or whatever you want to call it, but it's not. So, Republic of Azov. And south of that, we have the Caucasian Republic, another democratic country here. Good luck staying together. Central Asian Republic, or I guess actually no, I don't remember what I called it, but I think it was like the Union of Central Asian Countries. Yeah, that's probably not going to last too long either, but it is completely free. And over here we have the remainder of the USSR. Now, remember the Red Army group was pushed up north here at the end of the last war, and it is still communist. So this is the remnants of the USSR, except it's a lot more weak because it has basically no people living there, but it does have a lot of natural resources, so that's cool, I guess. On to the yellow team. They got land. That's cool. As you can see here, I'm coloring in gray. And yeah, Asia looks completely different now. So that's a good thing. Something I've really been striding for in this series is to make the world map look a little bit more unrecognizable in order to stray away from the modern map / the map that I used last season. So that's cool, I guess. I mean, Africa is also pretty much unrecognizable except for some few key countries like Nigeria, South America and America. They ain't changing because it's boring over there. All right, so now let's go down to the Middle East here and talk about the Caucasian Republic. Well, you see, Turkey and Iran have some business they need to settle with them, and it's the fact that they have land that was once owned by Turkey and Iran, so they're going to go ahead and declare war on this brand new republic in order to take back what was once theirs. Now, the Caucasian Republic is like a week old at this point, and they don't really stand any chance. So the Iranians push in to their old lands, Turkish push in, and they eventually reach the Georgian area, Azerbaijan, Armenian, and blah, blah, blah. All right, the Caucasian Republic, short-lived, and that's mostly due to the fact that they only existed for like a week, and they never even finished setting up their military / signed their constitution. So yeah, basically just free land, except it was gonna be not free, but you know, anyway. Turkey and Iran are going to go ahead and take their land back, and then some. We see that Turkey has wrapped up to the Azov Republic and has taken over a majority of Georgia. Now, as you can see here, if I go ahead and scroll to Iran, they took over most of Azerbaijan and Armenia, but the Caucasian Republic does still exist to the south here. Now, over to Tibet and Nepal, we have a union taking place between them. This is going to be called the Republic of the Himalayas. Yeah, it's kind of hard to voice this over when it's jumping around all over the place, but they unite together into one republic. It's a democratic republic, so it's not like a communist thing, and that's mostly due to the fact that communism is dead at this point. Now let's talk about Central Africa here. We have the Saharan Republic, which is what I believe I named it, but it's not doing too hot economically, and it's going to completely collapse here. Now, there is a difference between collapsing and dissolving. The Soviet Union, that dissolved. This is a collapse. A dissolve is when you just fall apart and turn into a bunch of different countries. When you collapse, it's basically a free land grab. So all of the surrounding countries are going to go ahead and get in on this land grab. Now, they're not declaring war here because there is no war to be declared. The country does not exist. It is free land, and they're going to move in and take what they can. So every single country moves into what was once the Saharan Republic, and eventually there's going to be a lot of skirmishes taking place between militaries over who controls what. But finally, someone is going to put on the big boy pants and meet up over here in Timbuktu to discuss a division of the territory. It's going to be known as the Conference of Timbuktu, kind of similar to the wait, what was it called? The Berlin Conference, which divided up Africa. Okay, so this is when I realized that my mic wasn't on and I plugged it back in. So voice over AdizzPro out. All right, so here we have phase 2 of the treaty worked out, and oh, it just keeps getting worse. So, like I said, some countries are now going to have to be stretched out, and that's just because of weirdness and weird countries. Yeah, don't complain, please. Anyway, that's going to do it for the dissolvement of the Saharan Republic. And now we can see how this affects alliances, which it really doesn't that much, other than Algeria and Chad getting a little bit of land. Also, note to myself and note to editor, my microphone was off for I don't know how long, and I hope it really wasn't that long because then I'm gonna have to do a voiceover. And the reason I have to do a voiceover is because I cannot undo what I've already done. I saved it earlier, so it's impossible for me to go back to the beginning of the video, and plus I really wouldn't want to re-record this entire video. It's been a whole 42 minutes and it's baking hot in my room right now. So I'm just hoping that it wasn't too long. Maybe it wasn't I don't know. I just hope. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's alternate future video. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new in order to help out the alternate future series, which is kind of struggling right now. No big dealio though, because this video was pretty good. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today. So if you enjoyed the video, I'm just kidding. I already said that. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
And of course, thank you to all the super fans. This includes Patrick Clauser, Yo Moma Moma, Texan Cowboy Cheese, Kylie Speaks Plays, Poland Country Ball, Dimitri, DW Cool Dude, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Yakko, Soviet Ball, and Serminator. Once again, thank you guys.